Welcome to Acolytes of Horror, where we examine the horrors of life through the horrors of film. I'm Nathan, and tonight I'm scared of Ryan Murphy's Ratched series. The whole concept of having a Nurse Ratched origin story really, when viewed in a vacuum, I got a lot of salacious thrills out of this show, don't get me wrong. It exploits a lot of the same stereotypes it seems like it's trying to critique, but if you like slick, colorful aesthetics, compelling performances, and gratuitous gore, you might find something to like here. I'm not really interested in talking about how the show fails as a piece of entertainment so much as how it fails as an adaptation simply by existing at all. The villain origin story is generally reserved for characters that are so over-the-top evil in their original depictions that the entire concept of asking us to relate to them is kind of a dare. Hannibal Lecter, Maleficent, Norman Bates, the Joker, the Wicked Witch of the West. The hook for these stories is the question, how did her life lead her to this extreme? What led to such a depraved moral downfall? It's an exercise in empathy that can also be a fun way to indulge our darker impulses. And at the best of times, it challenges our preconception of what evil is and where it comes from. But the question of how did Nurse Ratched become so evil is ridiculous. How did her life lead her to a job in middle management? Was it the vacation days? Was it the benefits? The kind of villains who usually get origin stories are more like primal forces of the human psyche. The Joker is anarchy. Hannibal is hunger. The Wicked Witch is wicked. It's easier to recontextualize them because they fit into their stories as feelings more than statements. But Nurse Ratched is a part of a larger social critique that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is trying to make about how the state treats the mentally ill, among other things. So to adapt her story is to attempt to add to that critique, which could work, except that Nurse Ratched in particular is scary precisely because she doesn't have an interesting backstory. We know exactly how she got to be like that. She hasn't been hacking up patients her whole life like Annie Wilkes from Misery. Who, by the way, would have been a much better candidate for the Ryan Murphy treatment. What's disturbing about her is that she came to be like this just by growing up in America, in a place where being disruptive or unproductive or deviant in any way is considered a sign of sickness. She's cruel and controlling because the system encourages her to be. What's great about her is she already challenges our idea of what evil looks like. The original Nurse Ratched never breaks the law or the rules. It's an important reminder that someone with good manners isn't always a good person. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest really makes me think about how the people who are most guilty of destroying our economies, communities, and planet might be really nice. They can afford to be nice because the law is on their side. Nurse Ratched likes rules because she can make the rules so that the only way to fight back is to be disruptive, which frees her up to quietly say, I told you there was something wrong with you. Meanwhile, the trailer for this show announces itself by blaring this song that I'm too scared to play on YouTube, but it's this Cruella de Vil swaggering kind of song. It's like, do you wanna have fun? And we're treated to all these images of her cracking bones in a military hospital, shoving an ice pick through somebody's face, and plotting grisly revenge on a woman for stealing her peach. I actually really love this scene. The events of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest don't make sense if she's had seasons and seasons of bloody conflict in her past. because McMurphy is so clearly the first person who's effectively challenged her sense of control. She's out of her depth. Every new attempt at control leads McMurphy to strike back all the harder. So she just gets pettier and pettier until her cruelty causes the suicide of one of her own patients. Now, I'm not saying that McMurphy is a progressive role model by any means, or even that choking Nurse Ratched was the right thing to do. It's more like when you keep taking and taking and taking from someone who's already totally powerless, you can't be surprised when one day you find their hands on your throat. Keeping her as this polite embodiment of a broken system encourages us to think about all the ways that these systems protect people like her, how the odds are stacked against not just the mentally ill, but anyone that society sees as illegitimate. It's no coincidence that the novel is told from the perspective of Chief Bromden, an indigenous man whose trauma largely stems from how America has treated him and his people. He often describes Nurse Ratched as being part of a larger machine, tying her to this shadowy combine that he believes controls the world.
McMurphy doesn't know it, but he's on to what I realized a long time back. That it's not just the big nurse by herself, but it's the whole combine. The nationwide combine. That's the really big force. And the nurse is just a high-ranking official for them.
I just can't help but go on and on about how bizarre it is for a character who represents the death of individuality to be given her very own show. Like most villain origin stories, they take this evil character and they make them more sympathetic, so that will add complexity to the original story. But in this one, they've had to make her more evil, which actually simplifies the source material, because by making her more guilty, it lets the rest of society off the hook. Ironically, this attempt at a feminist take on Nurse Ratched's history and sexuality instead suggests that she is the true evil. But the original Nurse Ratched is scary because she's everywhere. We've all been under the power of a Nurse Ratched at some point in our lives. We've all had teachers or bosses who use their authority as an excuse for tyranny. I can think of a lot of people who've been in charge of me at some point in my life who, if they'd been given Nurse Ratched's unlimited power and were pushed the way that she was pushed, would have done a lot of the same kind of things, if not much, much worse. The true horror of the Nurse Ratcheds of the world is that the top levels of our institutions seem to think that we need so many of them. They go home every night believing they're nice, normal people doing important work. They fall asleep undisturbed by guilt or nightmares.
They talk for a while about whether she's the root of all the trouble here or not, and Harding says she's the root of most of it. Most of the other guys think so too, but McMurphy isn't so sure anymore. He says he thought so at one time, but now he don't know. He says he don't think getting her out of the way would really make much difference. He says that there's something bigger making all this mess, and goes on to try to say what he thinks it is. He finally gives up when he can't explain it.
Hey, thanks so much for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Wow, last video I had 1,000 subscribers and now we're up to 35,000. So if you're one of those 35, thank you, that's great. And especially thank you if you're one of those who've supported me on PayPal. If you'd like to support my work, links in the description, much appreciated. My next video for real this time, will be about the Alex Garland film Annihilation. But I'm also doing the book, so it's just taking a little longer. I'm really excited, though. The script's really shaping up to be something very exciting. Hopefully y'all like it, too. The big fact that I can't end this video without sharing, because it's so weird. The guy, Jack Nicholson's character in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, is named Randall Patrick McMurphy. But the showrunner of Ratched is named Ryan Patrick Murphy. What's that about?